Did you know that happiness is a U curve? So from about the age of 18 until the end of our 40s, we gradually grow less happy. And then from about our mid 50s onwards, we gradually go happier and happier until we are more or less just as happy at 65 as we were back at 25. Now, that obviously isn't true for everyone, but there's substantial research to show that if you live in a well-off Western country, you're going to feel a lot less stressed and a lot more satisfied with your life once you get past that crucible of your 40s. And that is really, really good news for anyone who's concerned about aging. We are all too often told that for women, life gets worse as you age. You become invisible, you lose your looks, you get health problems, your income shrinks, you're expected to just shrivel away. And at the very best, your role is to be a grandma or a volunteer, a support person rather than in the spotlight. And that may have been the case for much of human history when we couldn't expect to survive as long in such good health. But these days, there's a different way to think about the adventure of getting old. Aging gives you freedom. Hi, I'm Amy Waterman. I am the host of yourbrilliance.com. And in this video, I want to get you excited about growing older. Whether you are 30 or 40 or 50, you need to know why happiness is coming for you. Like many women my age, you could not pay me to go back to my 20s. I much prefer to keep the wisdom of experience. Thank you very much. Back then, I was so naive and I was so dumb and I made so many mistakes because, of course, I had to in order to learn. And yet our culture idealizes those 20-somethings because they seem to have it all. They're young, they're healthy, they're attractive, and they are footloose and fancy-free, or at least they think they're free. What we fail to remember about 20-somethings is that most of them have been carried for most of their lives. So until recently, most of them had a guaranteed roof over their head and food to eat. They had somewhere to go every day that was focused on teaching them rather than exploiting them. And if something bad happened, most had people to catch them and help them back on their feet. And so no wonder they can face their adult lives with confidence and vim and vigor. They think they can do anything, and that's their superpower. But they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that life is hard and it only seems to get harder. And they don't know what they'll be called to sacrifice. And you and I know those things because we have passed that point. We've had to grow up and leave the things of children behind. And so no wonder our happiness levels are lower. Between work and family and health issues and the economy and everything else on our plate, it's hard to be as optimistic as we were back then. There is a book that came out in 2020 called Why We Can't Sleep. It's by Ada Calhoun, and it's about midlife women who are falling apart. Calhoun interviewed hundreds of middle-class American women to find out what was keeping them up at night. And the result is a depressing litany of the challenges of being middle-aged today. She found that so many women are feeling beaten down and broken and tired and thinking, this isn't what I was promised back when I was growing up. We were told that if you just did what you were supposed to, you would have a great life. You would have your own home and a family and a husband and a retirement fund and vacations and money for gym membership and nice clothes and facials. And guess what happened? You couldn't afford the mortgage and your husband cheated on you and your parents got sick and you had to quit your job and then you drained all your savings trying to stay afloat, et cetera, right? So no wonder a woman's 40s tends to be tough. It's all that pressure that comes crashing down. And it can feel like things have been bad for so long, so surely they're only going to get worse because we're only getting older and we don't have the energy anymore. And just look at what's happening with the world. But that is where we're wrong. The U-shaped curve of happiness tells us that it gets darkest right before the dawn. And what's going to kick off that next stage in our life when the sun starts shining again is menopause. Yeah, you heard me right. Now, not a lot of people get excited about menopause. It seems to be the nail in the coffin of youth because once you get through menopause, you are officially old. But is that the right word for it? Or is a better word powerful. You see, once women get through menopause, life tends to look differently. They're usually empty nesters by then, their children have grown up, and they see retirement up ahead, if they're lucky, and something changes inside of them. They get some of that mental space back for themselves, and they start thinking, what do I actually want in my life? I've spent the last 20, 30 years serving others. I've spent the last 30 years doing everything I was told to do, and no one rewarded me. I did everything right. And my husband still won't lift a finger on the house, and my employer still treats me like I'm dispensable. Why have I been doing all this for other people for so long when I could have been doing the things that made me happy? And that's the question that tends to bring these women to the pleasure principle. The pleasure principle is a principle for life that tells you to move towards the things that give you pleasure rather than away from the things you don't want. So some women don't want to end up old and lonely, and so they do everything they can to look young and get a man. They are running away from what they fear. But other women want to enjoy life on their own terms, and so they take really good care of their bodies. They go out and they find companions to have fun with. So they are running towards what makes them happy. And I say in my book, there's only one path that can make you happy, and you can guess which one it is. I did an interview years back with this wonderful woman named Xanet Pailet, who had a sexual awakening in her 50s after leaving her marriage. And I will put up a link so that you can watch it. Xanet is a living embodiment of the truth that age gives us power. And it's a kind of power that many of us have never experienced before. It's the power to say no to a life that was always about other people and never really about us. It's the power to explore ideas and experiences that might have frightened us away when we were younger. And it's the power of having nothing left to lose. There's a particular group of nasty guys on the internet, like from MGTOW or Red Pill, who talk about women hitting a wall. And by that, they mean that these women are no longer attractive to men because of their age. And that's supposed to be this terrible thing. Like, what will women do with themselves once men no longer desire them? And I don't think that's it at all. I think the wall is when women realize that they don't need a man anymore. Now, yes, of course, they want male companionship and they enjoy that delicious male energy and they're looking for a playmate, but they don't need it. And that's a crucial distinction, because once you're in your 20s and you want that house and the baby and the nuclear family, then of course you're going to need a man to partner with for that stage in your life. But there comes a point where you don't need a man to have a family with. You may already have children from a previous relationship. And you know that relationships in marriage can be harmful just as much as they can be good, right? Because you've seen it 1,000 times. And you realize that when I am in a relationship, I tend to put my needs aside to focus on others. And maybe that's not what I want anymore. Maybe I want something different. And to me, that is such an exciting time in a woman's life. It's a time when the pleasure principle can really come into play. So I would like you to see aging as stepping into your power, because the power young women have is the power of their bodies to turn men on. And for those young women who don't have bodies that fit social norms, they don't even get to enjoy that. But the power of mature women is extraordinary and it's complex. It's the power of wisdom. It's the power of life experience. It's the power of independence. It's the power to hold everyone up, because you've been doing this all your life, right? You are like Atlas. You have been holding the entire world on your shoulders. And those beautiful young things would have collapsed under that weight. So maybe it's time to set those burdens down and stop letting everyone ride for free on your shoulders and trust that the world can take care of itself without you for a while. So what do you want out of life? What do you want for yourself? What haven't you been giving yourself? And remember, your happiness U-curve is starting to bend upwards. So despite all the bad things people have told you about aging, life feels pretty okay, and it is only going to get better, because now you can speak your mind and you can say no without feeling guilty, and you can put yourself first. You don't have to be that good girl anymore. So tell me, what are you looking forward to the most as you age? Let me know. Take really, really good care of yourself, and I will see you next time.